Hey everyone, Andrew Bourget here from Ship Angel. Let's give it maybe a minute or two here to let some people jump on and join, and then we'll start going through the Ship Angel platform and show you guys what the hype is all about. All right, I'm gonna get going here on my end. This demo is recorded and we'll post this on our YouTube page as well as post it onto LinkedIn in the future. And so if you guys are watching this post-mortem, if you guys are interested in rewatching this, or you want to share this with a colleague, a friend, your kids, your parents, if you want to share this with anyone, please share, like, subscribe, do all the YouTubey stuff, as people say. But my name's Andrew Bourget. I'm head of customer operations for Ship Angel. Ship Angel as a whole, what we are is an AI-powered operating system for international shippers. And our flagship product is something that we call rate management. And what that means is that we've built a system that gives access to all of your international and domestic shipping rates to your entire organization in one easy to use, but also easy to navigate platform that is available 24/7, 365. In addition to, as my screen was sharing earlier, we give you the ability to now look at your rates also from a mobile device. And so you could be on the go and always have access to your shipping rates. The key, most important feature of the Ship Angel application is our ability to take in rate sheets, quotes, amendments, EDI, API data, all of the information that you are getting in regards to pricings and contracts from your vendors. We take all of that information in and we process it utilizing our proprietary internal custom-built artificial intelligence machine learning system that we have created, and then present those rates to you in the platform for everyone to see. What's important is it's a non-templatized system. All of your vendors can provide their rates in their formats, in their languages, so to speak, and you don't have to conform everyone to a single format and still get a upload process that is counted in mere hours, not days or weeks. And it takes away some of the painful burden of trying to manage those rates individually or pushing out that management to the vendors to have to conform to a single format. Inside the Ship Angel application, what we give you the ability to do is to start to search those rates. And so I'm going to go through a couple different parts of our process. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is start with our upload process. And so imagine a world where you have multiple team members across the globe managing international rates or even domestic transportation amongst different countries. The way the rates flow into the platform, once they've been processed through our AI machine learning process, it now gets pushed into the system. And there's really two ways to upload rates. We consider one, the sort of direct, in a shipping terminology, the direct service directly into the platform once it's been processed, or we have a second process that we call our amendment guard feature. What that allows you to do is, as rates are flowing into the system, those who are requesting rates may not necessarily be the ones approving rates. And so what it can allow you to do is create a sort of workflow where I could request 10, 15 rates, but then maybe my manager or someone who's a step above me could approve those rates. What they are able to do is come inside the amendment guard feature and say, okay, I have a whole bunch of amendments that I need to potentially review. How should I process these? Or how should I review these? And so what you can do is click into the amendment, and now what you're going to get is sort of a listing of all the different rates and all the different lanes that have been presented in this quote, contract amendment, or any other version of a new updated rate. And then what the system is going to allow you to do is manage these rates and understand, okay, based on the lane, based on the equipment size, the equipment type, the price, and so the base rate, we can look at the total container surcharge value. We can start to see what's changing, what's going up in relation to the other rates we have. And so very quickly here, I now know, okay, some of these lanes have gone up in value. Ultimately, the most important feature here is the all-in price calculation. I can now sort by increases, whether it be up or down. I can filter and sort, and now I can say, okay, based on some of my rates that have come in on this amendment, these are all increasing. It looks like these prices are increasing somewhere between $40 and $60, which as on a percentage basis on some of these lanes is either single digits or barely multiple digits. I now have an understanding of what does this amendment mean for my rates? Is it an increase? Is it a decrease? Are there new lanes? Are there no new lanes? I can start to validate these invoices as they come in my language, in my format. The idea here is you're going to be managing your rates and viewing your rates inside the ShipAngel platform. We also want you the ability to approve those rates. And so I very quickly can say, okay, these are all the lanes that came in for Q4. I can update the status of these to approved or rejected, or I can leave them in pending status because maybe I need to go back to the carrier and say, hey, this wasn't what we negotiated. You told me, for this container size, we were going to be at $2,000 even. You've given me a rate that's $2,128. I can't accept this. Let's continue the negotiation process. What this is going to allow you to do is control what gets into your platform. Ultimately, it's going to give you the ability to understand your rates, negotiate your rates, and make sure what rates end up in the platform for global visibility are rates that you approve versus rates that were just sent over and processed. Once the rates are processed and inside the application, we now give you the ability to search all of those rates in one platform, in one system for multiple modalities. And so today we've built the system to have an ocean component, an air component, and a trucking component. Additionally, we have a less than container load functionality that's going to come on board here in just probably about the next 30 days. And we have a less than truckload functionality that we plan on rolling out in addition to the LCL in about the next 30 days. And so we have more modalities, more ways to transport your cargo amongst those modalities. What I'm going to do is start a search inside of our air section. And it's really simple to search here. You're always looking a from and a to. Where do I want to go from and to? That starting point could be a warehouse. That starting point could be an airport, or it could be something in between. Additionally, we give you the ability to search by country. And so if I wanted to search by different countries, I can put in the country name, I can put in the origin name, I can put in the port name. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to search for rates out of Boston Airport. I am physically located just outside of Boston myself, so I'm a little biased here in terms of what lane we look up. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to search for rates from Boston, and I'm going to leave the destination blank. Again, there's multiple ways to search, and there's multiple ways you can get rates to understand what are my rates on various lanes. And so what I'm seeing here are 6 different results. And I can scroll through and show you all of the different results, but what's super useful is there's now filters that I can start to filter down these results. I search for everything out of Boston or everything that touches Boston. Let me filter down to a specific vendor. Let me filter down to a specific service or loop. I want direct flights only. I have a transit time that I need to filter by. There's a lot of ways to narrow your results down to ensure you're looking at the exact rate card that you want. Additionally, inside the air freight section, we give you access to the surcharges. A lot of times procurement managers or individuals who are the custodians of the rates, they need to dig down into the weeds and understand, hey, what's my security charge for this provider at 300 kilos? It's 8 cents per kg. Or simply put, what's my air freight cost in totality? My air freight section here is giving me an idea of the air freight charges that the airline gives me. What's my total cost? Is it $14 at the 500 kilo break? Is it higher or lower at the different weight breaks? Additionally, when it's applicable, we also have the ability to show you the origin and destination charges. And so I can very quickly, again, dig down into, okay, what's my pickup cost? In this scenario, I'm picking up in a town called Taunton, which is 2 minutes down the road from me. What are my total costs on pickup? Well, it's 10 cents per kilo with a minimum cost of $50. I can very quickly validate individual charges, or I can very quickly roll these up into a total estimated cost. At 500 kilos, what's my estimated cost per kg? It's $15.72. And what's very, very useful here is we are accounting for those minimums. In the negotiation process for air freight, a lot of times the discussion of where that minimum value is represented is something that is negotiated, and it's super important. We're going to take that in account when we give you your rate. You're going to know at 500 kilos, I'm expecting a cost of $15.72 per kilo. To a penny, we're going to give you an understanding of what your rates are. In addition, what's useful here in the application is now I may not care necessarily about the individual surcharges. I just want to know if I'm going to ship something, what is it going to cost me? And so what we've done is create a very simple chargeable weight entering field here where I can come in and say, okay, I know I'm going to ship 1,000 kilograms chargeable weight. I've done the calculations to understand length, width, height, and dimensions and weight. What that equates to is 1,000, I'll just say 1,001 chargeable weight kilo shipment. What we're going to give you the ability to do now is say, okay, at 1,001 kilos, what's my actual cost? What am I actually going to spend if I'm going to ship this much cargo? And here is where you can start to bring in actionable results that your team then can manage shipments. I can choose who I think is the cheapest, or I can put in some information and say, this is what I can exactly expect to spend. What this is going to allow you to do as an organization is manage your costs, but also manage your expectations on cost. If I know this is going to be $25,000, I then can plan for that. And when I look at the invoice in the future, I can start to understand, did I get charged correctly or not? If anyone's been managing air freight shipments for any amount of time, they're going to have an experience where they looked at a quote and was quoted $15,485.22. And then when they get the invoice, they're going to see a drastically different number. They can start to understand, why is this different? Is it different because the chargeable weight, the dimensions that I expected it to be, didn't match what the 3PL measured or what the airline measured? There's always going to be discrepancies. Being able to understand your rates is a lot more valuable when you're trying to manage a shipment or manage multiple shipments or thousands of shipments, as some of our customers are doing. Additionally, which is super useful here inside the air freight section, is I now have the ability to also start to benchmark my rates against the market. And so I'm going to do a different search here for a rate from Bangkok, and I'm going to look at this rate card from Bangkok to Los Angeles. What we give you here to the right is a graph of your rate, but we also give you the ability now is to benchmark against the market. And so I'm going to update this to, I like 500 kilos, greater than 500 kilo weight break. What I can now do is say, okay, based on my rates on this lane, how do they compare against the benchmarks on this lane? And so very quickly, I can look at my costs and say at 500 kilos, my cost is $10 a kilo in terms of air freight. It's 96% above the market rate, or hopefully it's less than 1%, greater than 1% to the market rate. But what this is going to allow you to do is start to benchmark your rates against the market and say, we need better rates, or I know where to talk to my providers about getting better rates. It's one thing for your provider to give you a better rate at 45 kilo weight break, but what if your shipments never are that small? They're always 500, 600, 700 kilos. You can start to understand, what are my costs and how do they compare to the market at any given time to ensure you're making the best decisions when you ship cargo. I use this provider over that provider, but also allow you to make better decisions in your procurement process. Do I need to negotiate a better rate? Do I need to fight for a better rate? This is going to arm you with that ammunition to make those decisions and improve your overall cost scenario. Additionally, ShipAngel gives you access to your trucking rates. And so I can come into this trucking section the same way I searched in the air freight and the same way we will search in ocean freight, which I'll show you shortly, is I can put in an origin, I can put in a destination, or I can leave a combination of one or the other blank. In this scenario, I'm going to search for a rate out of Boston. Again, I'm a bit biased. And now I have all my results for rates that come out of Boston. And so I can scroll through and look at all my rates. I can compare and contrast different options, potentially different vendors, but very quickly I can get an understanding of what is my rate, how has my rate sort of trended over time, and if there's specific surcharge information that I need to know and understand, what are those values? What maybe are some conditional charges that DSV charges me from Boston to New York City? Maybe this is a lane where you're moving food on. Maybe it's a food lane for you. Maybe there's an extra cost associated with food products that I want to know what that cost is. It could be listed here inside the surcharges if I need to look at it. Or if I simply need to know what's my cost, it's just over $1,100. And you very quickly can make decisions on who you move stuff with. Or this could be a part of your maybe long-term planning. Maybe you're building a budget for next year and I want to know what my rate is today. Or you could even take the search function at the top here and say, what was my rate in July? It was the same price in this scenario. But you can start to look at your rates. What's my rate today? What was my rate yesterday? And potentially, what is my rate going to be in the future? You'll see the validity here on this rate is showing valid to the end of December. And so I have a pretty good idea. This is a long-term rate that's valid for a very long time. Maybe this is something I want to use to help build out my budget, or I'm working with a new supplier on certain lanes. There's many, many different ways you can utilize rate data to understand what's going on with your international shipments or domestic shipments here as we're talking in trucking. When I go back to the search page, I'm going to show you guys the ocean section. And what's super useful is our ocean section is definitely our most robust part of the ShipAngel platform. From here, I can start to search any combination of origin and destination. I can search from a door location. I can search from an inland port. I can search from an ocean port. I can search from country to country, a couple different ports to a couple different ports. There's multiple ways to search. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to put a search in for anything from China, assuming I can spell it correctly, to Los Angeles specifically. And you'll see here as I'm typing in, I'm using the port code. We could also use the name, or we could use countries. There's multiple ways to find the right locations that you want to search for. I'm going to click search. What I'm getting here now is 6 different results across multiple lanes. I have a lot of DSV rates in this scenario. In this scenario, DSV represents a short-term rate. And so what we're seeing here very briefly is what are my short-term rates on this lane? I have rates from Tianjin. I have rates from Ningbo, et cetera, et cetera. What's useful here is we can also start to filter down these results. And so I might say, okay, do I have any other rates with any other provider? In this scenario, we don't. If I switch this search to New York City, what we'll see now is we have multiple results for multiple providers. And so now I could filter this down to, I just want to see my Hapag-Lloyd rates, or I just want to see my MSC rates. Additionally, we have filters around price. If I'm working a potential deal, imagine I'm a salesperson working with the transportation data, trying to sell more cargo. Maybe I want to look at an opportunity where, hey, I could sell something, but I can't do it if my transportation cost is above 4,000. Maybe I need to be less than 2,500. And from here, we can start to narrow our results down so that we're making the right decisions and looking at the right data. There's also filters around equipment type, dry, reefer, non-operating reefer, flat, out of gauge cargo, in gauge cargo. There's plenty of different equipment types that I could filter down for, or I could start to filter for something around transit time. I want to filter to something that's less than 20 days or greater than certain, there could be multiple reasons you want to search transit time. We give you the ability to, again, filter your results, bring in less noise so you get to that one single rate that you want to use, or the one single rate that answers the question that you're looking to get answered. Inside the Ocean rate card, you'll see a lot of information here. What's super useful is this information gives you the ability to now validate your rates, not just in terms of what is my rate. My rate for a 40-foot container is $2,082, but also what service am I supposed to sail on? What's my transit time? What's the commodity? I can start to see this data visually, not in 15, 20 rows of an Excel document. I can see this information on one page, on one screen. In addition to, I now also have access to this on my cell phone. And so when I'm looking at results from Shanghai to New York City, I now know, okay, Shanghai, in this case, is an Antwerp lane. What are my rates? I could be between meetings. I could be in a meeting with a customer. I could be sitting at home with my feet up on the couch at 10:30 at night. The kids are in bed. My family's in bed. Maybe I want to do some work. I can do it directly from my phone. I can look at my rates. I can understand what my rates are. Additionally, inside the ShipAngel platform, we also bring in third-party data. It's one thing for you to say, okay, my CMA CGM rate from Shanghai to New York City is $2,082 all in, which is a little bit lower than where my Hapag Lloyd rate is. I'm going to choose CMA on this lane. That's one way to kind of utilize the system. Another is to utilize our third-party data. And so we're telling you on this lane, your provider is telling us it's a 28-day transit. What we're able to tell you through third-party scheduled data is that the transit time for CMA on this lane is actually 31 days. And we do so by bringing into data into this schedules tab. Inside this tab, what you're going to see is different carriers, different services, and different vessels associated with actual transit information. When's it going to leave? When's it going to get there? And what is the total transit time? To then be able to validate or invalidate my transit times. In this scenario, we're saying, hey, the transit's 28 days. On average, this lane is actually 31 days. And it could be useful information for you to say, ooh, well, 31 days is not very quick, but you know what? Hapag is 40 days. I'm still going to go with the CMA rate. It's lower cost, and the transit time, as decided by a third party, not what your provider tells you, not what I tell you, but what third-party data validates this as, hey, this is a good decision. Additionally, inside the rate cards, we also give you access to that rate benchmark data. And so I showed you what that looked like on the air freight side, but this is what it looks like also on the ocean freight side. I can very quickly say 40 high cube, non-HAZ, market average, long-term. This rate is a long-term rate. It's valid from May to the end of March. And so the system's going to tell me, hey, this is a long-term rate. What are my rates on this lane, and how do they compare against the market? And so this one's really easy to see. My rate in green is below where the blue line is, which represents the market average. I know my rate at $2,082 all in, which if any of you watching this have rates that are this low, I would say good for you. This is a very good rate. But what you can say is, hey, I have a good rate. My rate's 20% below the market average. The market average as of September 10th, based on the third-party data that we are presented with, is closer to 25.71. You can validate your rates on your lanes in terms of, am I competitive or am I not competitive? What's super valuable here is you may not have the lowest rate in the market. And frankly, no one is going to have the lowest rate in the market. What you want to be is simply at or below that market average. I can tell my team, my manager, my C-suite that our rate is below the market. Our rate is below our competitors' rate. Is it exactly below? We don't know exactly. We don't compare this exactly against specific providers. But if I'm below that market average rate, the average rate paid on that market as provided by our third-party benchmark provider is ensuring that I have a competitive rate. My product is competitive coming out of Shanghai to New York City because I know my transportation cost is lower. This is one of the more important parts of our ShipAngel platform, in that you're not just validating decisions amongst different providers, you're also validating that provider against the market rate. in this scenario, this rate with CMA is a really good rate. What I can do is scroll down and show you some other rates that we have inside the platform. And I can show you one that you can utilize probably on a bi-weekly basis, specifically if you're a spot market player, as many tend to be these days where the spot market has gone. I'm now looking at a Shanghai to New York City rate with a DSV. This is a short-term rate because it's less than 30 days. And what I'm able to say now is, okay, based on my rate as of September 10th at $2,494, I'm above market. If I were to ship with DSV on this lane, I'm spending 11% more than I should. This is very valuable for the negotiation process, as well as it's valuable for you to say to your vendors, who I'm sure you're spending time with every month to sit down and have conversations, and they're always going to be asking you, how can I get more cargo? How can I do more business with you? Your answer in this scenario is to say, lower your rate. You're a little high. You're not just marginally high, you're actually considerably high on this lane. You might need to lower your rate. And so this is valuable information that you can now get access to that before lived in a spreadsheet. It was a data point inside a spreadsheet that you had to get access to. You had to filter, sort, you had to manually update. All of that pain is gone. All you have to do is negotiate your rates. You send them to ShipAngel. It goes through our AI process. We translate the rates. We put them in the platform, and we empower you to understand what your rates are, understand the decisions that you need to make better decisions, spend less time managing data, and really start to spend time on your business where you can create value. The two things that we look at in terms of ROI are time. You're going to have more time back in your day. Your procurement team is going to spend less time managing data and more time managing rates. And your logistics teams are going to spend more time making better decisions. They're going to look at this lane and they're going to say, hey, I need to be using CMA CGM. I need to book with them first. If I can't get bookings because of space or because of allocation or because CMA doesn't like me today, I now know some other decisions I can make versus saying, well, I have a rate with CMA. They say no. Let me just go directly to my spot rates. Very quickly, you guys are going to be able to get the opportunity to manage your rates better and make better decisions every day. This is an overview, a pretty brief overview in 30 minutes of the ShipAngel application. There are some more bells and whistles that I could get into around invoice auditing. We have an opportunity to talk about bookings in the future. ShipAngel is developing the next evolution of our operating system, in which is API-powered bookings. And so we'd love to have some of these, more robust conversations with all of you in the future. But what's really, really, really important here is ShipAngel can really change your team's workflow. You can really gain ROI back in your days by managing your rates with a platform that ultimately you can't do this with Excel. I can't visually bring in scheduled data and flip between scheduled data and surcharges and, oh, what was my rate history, or what's the market rate on this lane? How is it trended? You can't do any of this in a standard Excel document, let alone you can't get into invoice auditing and bookings that are based off the rates you already have. This stuff is really nice to have. We expect a lot of this information and this abilities when we're in the sort of AI age of software. We give you that ability to start to build processes and systems off of a system that ensures that your data is understood, your rates are understood, and then we bring in a whole bunch of valuable features to help you validate and benchmark your data. Generally, in the sales cycle, when we talk to customers, we give them this general demo. It could be about 10, 15, 20 minutes. We show you the platform. We show you what we call banana cola data. What we also can do in the future is potentially get your data. And so we can sign NDAs. You can present your rate contracts, whether it's you work with a carrier or NVOs or both. We can bring that data in. We can process that data very quickly. Our processing timelines for our customers generally are in the 15 to 17 hour range. And we even have some customers that are down to single digit hours. We're going to process this data for you. We can show you your data in the platform to help you really, really understand what's going on. I encourage you all to reach out. Again, my name is Andrew Bourget, head of customer operations for ShipAngel. I want to talk to you guys. I'd really like the opportunity to dig deeper, show you your rates in the platform, and really see what kind of value ShipAngel could bring to your day-to-day processes. If you guys have any questions, please reach out. My email address is andrew@shipangel.com. Please reach out to us on LinkedIn, over email. These videos, as I mentioned earlier, are going to be posted in some multiple avenues. We want to talk to you. We want to engage with you. We know this product will help you in your processes and will help your teams be more efficient. Let us show you how that can work. Don't be a stranger. Talk to everyone very soon. Thanks, guys.